fugitive John Taylor escaped with an injured leg. He stole a bicycle, rode a distance, and then discarded the bike in a trash bin. He approached a car, started it, and drove away. He stopped by a convenience store to buy disinfectant, just before the store was robbed. The frustrated owner counted the money and handed it to the thief girl, asking her if she needed a paper bag or a nylon bag. John successfully turned the tables on the robber, but the robber managed to escape with his wallet. John saw his wanted order on TV, stating that he had robbed a bank. The store owner immediately picked up a gun and swiftly aimed it at John, forcing him to move away. John quickly drove away after hitting the mocking teenager in front of his car. On the radio, the fugitive warrant for John was being broadcast, stating that he had stolen $300,000 from a bank and his vehicle and license plate had been identified. After bandaging his leg, he abandoned the car and walked into an affluent residential area. Pretending to be a victim of a mugging, he knocks on the door of an elderly woman and asks to come in to use the phone, but she quickly realizes the absurdity of John's story and sends him away. He continues on to another house, this time opening the mailbox and examining its contents, calculating a scenario for the next target. Inside the house, a man is cooking. John rings the doorbell and introduces himself as John, Julia's boyfriend. The person who sent a postcard in the mailbox. He claims to have just been mugged and lost all his belongings during the trip, needing Warwick's help. The homeowner, Warwick, explains that he is about to host a dinner party and cannot assist him. However, he eventually changes his mind and allows John into the house. Warwick offers John a drink, and they begin conversing. Warwick asks John many questions, and John tries to act to avoid being exposed. John asks Warwick to let him stay for an extra 30 minutes, using the excuse of his cousin will come home after that, and during that time, Warwick invites him to have dinner. Warwick tries to call the airport to inquire about John's luggage but ends up unsuccessful. He also tried dialing Julia's number to inquire about her and John's relationship, luckily reaching only the voicemail. When the radio news announces the bank robbery, John angrily shouts at Warwick, who is incessantly rambling, demanding his silence, and reveals his true identity. After threatening Warwick to call the guests to cancel the party, John starts to beat Warwick when seeing him cleaning his blood on the floor. Meanwhile, Detective Morton and his colleagues are working on the bank robbery case. The bank teller recognizes that John approached her before the robbery and provided her phone number. Returning to John and Warwick, Warwick questions why he chose to rob a bank instead of pursuing a legitimate career. John declares his intention to kill Warwick but offers merciness if Warwick remains silent and cooperates until the following morning. Suddenly, John collapses. The wine has been drugged, and Warwick is not the person he appears to be. When he wakes up, John is bound to a chair, and the party is in full swing, but all the guests Warwick is interacting with are figments of Warwick's imagination. Warwick takes a Polaroid photo of John and reveals a scrapbook of his past dinner parties, each with a murder victim, and a timeline of what Warwick plans to do to John. As the night wears on, John is further terrorized, drugged, and incapacitated, and learns various things about Warwick's strange lifestyle. While in a drugged state, John has recurring dreams about his past with his girlfriend, who happens to be the bank teller Simone, and their plan to rob the bank. A neighbor hears John's cries for help and approaches Warwick to inquire, but Warwick puts a mask on John's head and tells her that John is just drunk. When the woman leaves, he drags John into the house. Angered, Warwick uses a burning fireplace poker to stop the bleeding in John's leg and they continue their twisted game. Warwick proposed to play chess, with the prize being John's freedom. John, who is an excellent player, wins. Warwick allows John to leave as agreed, but as John prepares to leave, Warwick calling him worthless and secondary. John takes one of the swords displayed in Warwick's living room and stabs him with it, but it turns out to be a collapsible prop knife, so Warwick knocks John unconscious. When John regains consciousness, they are in Warwick's bathroom, and Warwick behaves even more freaky. In the morning, John is left outside with a cut throat, or so it seems. He wakes up and discovers that most of his injuries were fake. Detective Morton arrives at Warwick's door. Warwick is actually a police lieutenant working on John's robbery case. Morton arrives to have Warwick record a statement about John's robbery, expressing doubts about Simone's testimony as she claimed John flirted with her, but the footage shows they didn't speak, and John purposely waited in line at her counter, and she requested 2 weeks off starting that day. They realize Simone set it up to steal the money and frame John. While waiting, John starts to suspect Simone and discovers that she made alternate travel arrangements out of Los Angeles without him. John finds Simone in a parking garage, takes her car and the money, leaving her to be captured by the detectives. Warwick stops John from leaving and blackmails him for the robbery tape, leaving him with only a couple $1,000s to get past the Mexican border. A couple of months later, Detective Morton receives a letter from Mexico, implied to be from John. It's a Polaroid from the dinner party of Warwick and John together. Morton suspects foul play and confronts Warwick, who dismisses it, but when Morton persists, Warwick invites Morton to a dinner party. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.